With the proliferation of AI in our day-to-day and the way the tech space is panning out, are we cooked?
No. No, we're not.
Hello all, welcome to Tech Talk Tour, the podcast of Tech Talk.
For everyday people.
Exactly. And as you might have noticed, we are not alone in the studio today. We have a guest with us.
Yeah, our very first guest appearance today. We are with the one and only Opeyemi Onikute.
Woo, 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 woo. Choose the sound.
Hi.
Awesome. So,
How does
Opey,
it feel being in the studio first? Let's start with that.
Feels surreal. Like I'm still in awe of how great.
How badass our studio is.
Like it's so sick. I've been saying it for like 15 minutes now. Like I really like this. It's
Okay.
really cool.
yeah,
That
we're
is
glad we
super
have
cool.
impressed you a bit. I think that's a good start.
It is.
Fantastic.
So, Okwe is going to do a bit of introduction. I'm sure our listeners are probably wondering, who's this person? Yeah, he's cool and whatnot. He's fashionable, as you can see. If you're streaming on YouTube, if you're not, I'm side-eyeing you because why are you not subscribed to our channel yet? But we're going to run Okwe through some intros.
Yeah.
What exactly is it that you do?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me here. I'm a big fan of the show and a big fan of you guys as people, so I'm very happy to
Awesome.
be here. Fashion, I'm dressed like this because I'm trying to look like Jensen, so you people think I'm very smart. So, yeah, what do I do? My name is Opeyemi Onikute. I am an SRE at Cloudflare. SRE stands for Site Reliability Engineer, but at Cloudflare was special, so our own is Systems Reliability Engineer.
Okay.
Do you want me to talk about what I do? Or should
Yeah,
we-
definitely. SRE. I think that would be a new term for quite a number of our viewers here.
Yeah.
So I feel like we should try to break it down a little bit
Okay.
so our viewers can understand. So Dammy and I were thinking that we could ask you to break it down into like 3 different levels of
It's going to be
SRE.
fun.
It's going to be really
Yeah.
fun.
I hope so.
So first one, break SRE down to me like I was a 5-year-old.
Okay. If you're a 5-year-old,
Yeah.
you like ice cream. Right?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yes.
So let's say you're a 5-year-old and your dad buys you ice cream
Yeah.
regularly. You'll be very, very upset if your dad does not bring ice cream for whatever reason, right? So just
Yeah.
assume that the place your dad goes to buy the ice cream from is on his computer.
Okay.
Right? What you want as a 5-year-old, you don't want him to come back with excuses. You want him to come back with ice
Yeah,
cream.
you want your
Yeah,
ice cream.
definitely.
So if for any reason he's not able to bring that ice cream and it's because the man on the computer that sells the ice cream to him is not available, right, then you'll be very upset.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an SRE, I work for the man on the computer, right? And what I do is I make sure that the man on the computer is always available to give your father the ice cream. So when you're licking ice cream, be grateful for SREs.
Okay, that's a really profound explanation.
I
to
mean,
be
I like the
honest.
sound of ice cream.
I mean, who doesn't like ice
If
cream,
you're
right?
making the ice cream happen every time,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I like that role. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's move on to the second one. What if it wasn't a 5-year-old but a high schooler? How would you explain what SRE is?
So what was important to me as a high schooler? I'm not that old. but we used to use Blackberries and we had like Twitter then. So
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
let's use Twitter as an example. So as a high schooler, you care about your social life. You
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
about like communicating with your peers.
Yeah.
If there's any gossip, like if there's football or whatever. And Twitter is an example of an app that you use to communicate and it runs on the internet, right? I know a couple of days ago, a couple of months ago, right, Twitter went down. And
Yeah.
in those scenarios, yes, it doesn't sound like a big inconvenience, but for some people, it's a huge inconvenience because they
Yeah.
cannot communicate with
I
their
mean, how would
friends.
I tweet
Yeah.
the latest gist?
Exactly. How can you gossip?
Side note, I find it very interesting how we all still refer to Twitter as
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, it's always with Twitter.
Nobody is on that X thing.
It's always with
What's
Twitter.
that? No, it sounds weird.
So as an SRE, right? My job is to, if I'm working for Twitter, for example, my job is to make sure that Twitter is reliable. Twitter does not go down.
Yeah.
You like hear people say like fancy terms like SLOs, SLIs, SLAs. All those things just really boil down to reliability. It just means that for how much percentage of the time are you available for your users to use? So like as an SRE, you care about those kinds of metrics to make sure that people can actually use the service.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Cool. Sounds good. Making sense. Okay. I guess finally, if I were a CS graduate,
I mean,
which
technically,
I
we
am
are CS graduates.
how would you explain SRE to me?
How can I keep this brief? So let's kind of think about it in terms of. So we've spoken about the ice cream and the man on the computer, right?
Yeah.
And then we've spoken about Twitter, which is more of a platform that we're used to,
Yeah.
that we're more familiar with. And now we're talking to a CS grad. So the difference between a high schooler and a CS grad is the CS grad is more likely to know about writing code, right?
Yeah.
So I'll most likely go from that perspective. So if you've written code in the past and like you've deployed it somewhere, you've probably hosted it somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's say you write a Python app.
Yeah.
In this world, let's say you write an agentic app. Like
Yeah.
this, yeah. And you need to host it somewhere that like you can do inference, right? You want that site that you've deployed your program to that serves your users
Yeah.
to be available,
Yeah.
right? So on that site, there is the front end code, which is
Yep.
the website.
Mm-hmm.
There is the back end code, which is
What
like
makes
the
things
thing that
work.
runs,
Mm-hmm.
the actual functionality.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is another layer, which is the infrastructure layer, where you have these are the actual servers that run the code you've deployed on them, right? In the context of a company, an SRE works in those layers, like in that infrastructure layer,
Okay.
because writing code is reliable, is deterministic, or like writing front end code as well is reliable. But there are so many things that can happen in that infrastructure layer that no one can control. For instance, now a server just randomly goes down,
Yeah.
or like the temperature in a data center goes really high, right? The job of an SRE in that context is to make sure that all these anomalies and all these things that like usually will be an edge case that no one has thought about are handled.
Okay.
And when they happen, we know about it and we react quickly to it.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what an SRE does.
That
To a
makes
CS grad.
a lot of sense. Well, if you're watching, congratulations. You've officially graduated from the University of
Of
Texas.
SRE.
That's as far as it gets. If you didn't know a lot about SRE before, those three categories has it covered. I particularly like the 5-year-old version.
Yeah.
It's
Ice
very
cream.
simple.
Yeah.
and
Very
makes sense.
simple, and everyone loves ice cream.
Everyone loves ice cream. But yeah, to dive into the news that we have for this week, again, a lot has been happening in tech. And Opa, you mentioned something about agentic tools, which brings us to our very first news.
Yeah.
What exactly has Anthropic been up to?
Dammy, like these AI companies are always up to something.
Always
like
up to something.
every week, I know like some of you feel like we talk about AI so much, but I mean, we can't help it. Number one, AI is cool. Number two, there's
makes
always
the world
something
round.
happening in the news. With respect to Anthropic recently announced a tool called Claude Cowork, which is pretty much, if you're familiar with Claude Code, for those of you that are not, pretty much Claude Code is kind of like an agentic assistant that pretty much helps software engineers carry out and perform tasks in their day-to-day. It could be used for coding, for example, and to solve different problems while you're implementing features. So pretty much they've carried over that idea to like the day-to-day user, and they've created Claude Cowork, which is pretty much an agentic assistant targeted at the day-to-day person, like typical people like you and me. Well, we are typical people.
Typical people.
Yeah, and mom and dad, for example,
Yeah.
right? And to help them actually try out and play with these features and actually use them to actually be more productive in their day-to-day. Also, they launched something called plugins for Claude Cowork.
Yeah.
And plugins are pretty much, can I say, like the name implies, like plugins, like
Plug them
addition,
in.
add-ons
Yeah.
that help users kind of like be more productive and actually use them for their different use cases and workflows as well. And so, yeah, that's kind of like what they've been up to recently, Danny.
I feel like the most interesting use case I've seen for this agentic thing is people trying to clear their laptop and just like automating the process. So you get the feedback like you have over 40 gig of whatever random thing on your laptop, then you're telling the agentic tool to reduce it to like 2 kg.
Isn't that dangerous?
That's the first thing that came to my mind, actually. I don't think I would.
Like, reduce it to
I don't
like
think I would
2
do that.
gig. I think I would do it too, but maybe for my emails, because you know those emails that you've had for like years,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
it's spanning over 50k emails or something. You can just plug in it and tell it like reduce this to 2,000, and then it goes in there to like delete everything that is not relevant. Maybe you put in like
so
certain
Spammy
keywords.
type things.
Okay. I can see how it could be useful for
I feel like
spam.
that's something I would
But
use.
still,
it
I'd be
for.
too worried that to actually delete something that's
Yeah.
extremely like vital,
Important.
right, and important.
I mean, this is sort of what comes in when you're automating things. Because literally, when it comes to like these agency plugins, there is never like a definite result. I mean, you know what you want in your mind, but does the agentic tool know that you know what you want? Is it going to give you what you actually want? That's like the main question.
And even
you need
another
to-
step to that, even if it gives you what you want the first time, there's no guarantee to give you what you want the second time.
or
They're
you'll be
not
able to undo
deterministic.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Undoing it, that's another part that actually scares me, because what if I put in the prompts like, okay, do this, and then it performs it? I see it has done nonsense, but then there's no way to like recover everything that maybe it has deleted or it has removed from my email or my laptop. That's something that I find like quite interesting with these plugins.
Okay.
So tell us really, from an SRE point of view, how do you feel like these agentic tools can enhance everyday use? Obviously, the addition Anthropic has put in place is more or less like targeted towards people that are not technical. From a technical point of view, we know it can help with code and like automating tasks, engineering wise.
Yeah.
But for everyday people, how do you think they can actually find it useful?
That's a tough question because, like, I think different people have different things they care about and they want to do.
Yeah.
For an everyday person, it can help you like assist with your normal tasks, right? I think like I'm going to diverge a little bit. A common misconception people have about AI is that the AI is coming to replace people.
Yeah.
And like, are we cooked? Are we not cooked?
I don't think AI is that. I don't think AI is perfect.
But like, I think ultimately what we've seen in all different industries, including SRE, is they all converge into assistants, and they are really good as assistants. So as long as you are able to try to make the AI agent as deterministic as possible, like you just said, right, you can use it as an assistant for your everyday things. So you can use it for, like, I do a lot of shopping online, and like I use agents to like, I want to find this thing, please go and find it for me. Like I give a very, very detailed prompt. Like, so my own little way of trying to make it as useful for me is to be very detailed in my prompt. Like I can write like 3 paragraphs for a prompt because like I'm very specific about what I want, and I don't want it to assume.
You should do a masterclass on this.
That's why they say like, oh, prompt engineering bro, it's just about like communication and like writing paragraphs. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And what agency tools have impacted the world of observability?
I'm not sure, right? What I can say is like what we've used agentic tools for as SREs, right? I only pretty much use them to write code and sometimes do some deep research for my work, right? It's funny because like in terms of writing code, and like this will lead us into like more reliability type stuff, right? In terms of writing code, have you seen this news article that came out one time where people caught agents deleting tests that were not working? So like you write, tests.
Interesting.
So like let me explain what tests are. So when you write your code and you want to deploy it or you want to put it somewhere, you write some other code that makes sure that the code does what you want. It just validates the code, right?
Yeah.
That's a really, really good use case for like agentic systems because like it's repetitive. Like you can, it's also supposed to be deterministic because you know like these are the test cases I have. Unfortunately, because LLMs and like agents can hallucinate sometimes and like, can make up things.
They lie.
They lie, exactly.
ChatGPT, I'm talking about you.
And like what I've noticed is that like the more complex or the longer it goes without the LLM being able to solve the problem, the worse off you are, the more likely it is that like it will hallucinate or it's like do something weird, right? So that particular news story was that the test cases were not working, and like the LLM had tried a bunch of times, and he just deleted it. Like the test is not working. Like so, let me just remove it.
If I can't fix it, it's
gone. Just pretend it doesn't exist. Take it away completely.
So that's what we use. That's what personally I use like agents for the most. There are some new companies that are thinking about like just from an SRE perspective. There are some new companies thinking about how can agents do the work of an SRE. Right. To talk about that, like I think I still need to talk more about some other things that SREs do. I will be very brief. So some other things that SREs do is we do this thing called incident response. So let's give another scenario. Let's go back to Twitter. Twitter is down, right? What usually happens is there is an incident room or a chat room where like people come to like work on the incidents, right? So different teams, depending on the severity of the incident, different people have to work together to do it. Part of those incident rooms is like doing things like creating the chat room, like communicating with customers, reaching out to the right teams, right? So there is a company that I can't remember the name, but like there's a company that's working on that where you have a bot or an agent in your that has access to all your internal docs, all your data, right?
Yep.
So when an incident starts, that agent takes all the information and is able to like look for what the problem is and is able to communicate, is able to draft things and all that. So like, yes, like agents are useful in that context, but we also have to still be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Because as an assistant and getting information that humans can verify, it's useful. But nobody's going to give an agent like full control over the server to go and run commands, because if the incident is very, very complex and is confused, it can wipe your entire database. So these are the things we have to balance as like agents with agents in SRE.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely. And you mentioned about like agents like getting access to like data, right? That could be used for like incident response as well. I think the way the agentic space and just the AI space has really developed over the years is really interesting, because right now you have like MCP servers where you can actually use like a different MCP servers to connect to your, let's say, agent. For example, let's say you work in a software engineering team, right? You have like a huge wiki space of technical documents, right? In, let's say, Jira, right? You can use the Atlassian MCP server. Let's say you code with Claude Code. You can connect it to your Claude Code, right? And once you've connected the Atlassian MCP server, Claude Code could also have access to e.g. Jira. So let's say you want to implement a particular feature, you could say, okay, hey, Claude, this is the ticket number, right? Go find out the context of this, read up on what needs to be done, and come back. When it's read up, it comes back, and then you now have the interaction like, okay, now we need to solve this problem, like, and then basically like use it and to actually implement whatever you want to do, right? So it's very interesting. And also from an observability point of view, I read that I believe there is like a Prometheus MCP server or something like that. You can actually connect like,
and a Grafana one as well.
And there's a Grafana one.
I feel like, well, we've skipped this step. we skipped this step. Like, so we need to like talk about what observability is for like the audience to know. So like I'm going to try to make it very simple as well. And it won't be long. So observability is, the scenario I would paint is, think about airplanes, right? So in an airplane, when unfortunately a plane crashes, right? What people talk about is, there's a black box, let's go and like see what's inside the black box to understand
what happened.
I don't like the term as well. I don't like the term as well, but like, there's a black box. So what observability tries to do is, when the plane crashes, right, instead of having like a black box that no one knows what is inside and like someone has to go and dig through to like figure out what actually went wrong, observability makes sure that like there's no black box at all. Immediately the plane crashes, right, you already know what went wrong. Right? So if you take that in the context of the systems we're building today, right, observability tries to make sure that there is no black box. So like all the stakeholders, both your customers, your VPs, your software developers understand like what the problem is at every time.
Right from the jump. That does make sense. It does. I mean, all I'm hearing is AI is not coming for our jobs. Literally, you still need to be the one to do all the inputs. Otherwise, titles like Okwe's role will not be existing, and someone needs to be like super hands-on with it. But we're talking about AI-powered assistants. So OpenClaw is developing its own social network, and it's for AI assistants.
Yeah, this was a very interesting topic. So pretty much for people who don't know, OpenClaw is an open source personal assistant that people can pretty much set up on their own local machines. One thing that's gotten really popular nowadays is for people to actually buy Mac Minis. So you buy a Mac Mini, set it up on your desktop, install OpenClaw on it, and it's pretty much just interact with it whenever you need it to do stuff for you, right? And you can connect it to like different apps that you use for communication. You can connect to WhatsApp, you can connect to Slack, whatever, right? Cool. Yeah, and it's fully open source, so which is great. Now, in terms of another thing that people should keep in mind, OpenClaw was previously called Moltbot, and before Moltbot, it was called it was called Claude bots.
Okay.
Anthropic apparently came after them when they named the Claude
Ah.
bots because, well,
That's what it is.
Claude bots, right? But anyway, so people have been really playing around with OpenClaw recently.
Yeah.
It's really went viral over the past like week or so.
Okay.
And one fun thing that developers did or engineers did was they set up a social network where people could actually connect their OpenClaw instances and assistants to,
Okay.
and they could actually interact with themselves without human intervention, pretty much.
And it's called Moltbook.
Yeah, Moltbook.
Facebook.
Play on Facebook.
Wink.
Yeah, a play on Facebook. And well, you might have already assumed Claude, that's like a crustacean with a claw or something.
Yeah.
So lobsters molt to
Yeah.
grow, so hence
Oh,
Moltbook,
Okay.
Oh,
right?
no.
Yeah, it's like a really interesting, cringy name in a way, but yeah, it's still kind of cool. Well. Anyway, OpenClaw got about 100K stars on GitHub over the past 2 months. But then what's really more interesting is just the interactions that we've been seeing different AI assistants have with themselves.
Yeah.
Very interesting conversations, right, Dammy?
I can't get enough of it. It's literally dive into Reddit or something to like find more of these pieces, because it seems like the AI assistants are having therapy for themselves, talking about the things that the users have been putting them through. And it's so funny to see, because you see tweets or posts like, oh, is my user asking me to do too much? Is my user doing fraud with some of the prompts that is asking me to carry out? Like, this is just really interesting.
Yeah.
If you take a shot at Moltbook on GitHub, let us know, because I'm very curious to see what you find as well.
Yeah.
But okay, to ask you, now that these AI agents are sort of like forming communities of their own,
And ganking up against us.
exactly, how are we so sure that like the black box you mentioned, that
Yeah.
social layer doesn't develop into something that can go wrong? Because if there's anything Black Mirror has shown me,
Oh my
top-notch
goodness.
series, by the way, whatever can go wrong will
They'll
go wrong.
Yeah.
But right now, the AI assistants are having fun. They are socializing, which
Yeah.
is cool. But what is the worst thing that can happen? And how do we make sure that black box is like caught, like we put it in place quickly before something goes wrong?
Well, so generally, when you talk about this, the keyword you hear is guardrails, and like another thing you hear is human in the loop. So, like a guardrail is, think about when a baby just starts walking for the first time,
Yeah.
and like you have to put a fence around to make sure that the baby cannot go to another place. So, like that's pretty much what a guardrail is. So, there are different types of guardrails, but like there are guardrails you use to make sure that like agents don't do things that do not make sense.
Yeah.
So like that's one example. Then human in loop just make sure that anything that like the agent is doing has like human approval.
Yeah.
So like is less likely to, unless the human is in on the fraud as well and like will get the money. They are less likely to like approve that kind of thing. But another interesting thing in terms of like making sure agents take over the world,
Yeah.
right, is at Cloudflare we have this thing called zero trust, right? So zero trust is like what it sounds like. For anything that is trying to access any resource, assume that it's a malicious user.
Okay, yeah.
So you only give, and like another like synonym is principle of least privilege.
Yeah.
Right? So you only give something enough access to do the basic things it needs to do, and don't give it more than
No
that.
full permission.
So for instance, like the incident response bots we're talking about, right? We only give it access to read things. We don't give it access to like write things to the DB or like to wipe the DB, stuff like that. So those are like some techniques you can use to make sure that like, even if for whatever reason, like these agents want to go rogue, they can think about it, they can plan it, right? But they cannot execute.
Yeah.
So we put a guardrail in for the guardrail.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what
Like
I'm
just
hearing.
put as many guardrails as you can
Put it,
and pray.
no, it sounds like very tough, because AI is supposed to like solve things. Like you make it automated and you're supposed to just like go to sleep and have like peace of mind. Like in the case of the observability, if we're putting in an agentic tool to help us monitor what's going on observability wise,
Yeah.
I think once I put in the right prompts and settings, I should be able to go to sleep at night, wake up the next morning, see the charts. Okay, this is what happened while I was away. But if you're saying now that I want to take it a step further and maybe put in extra prompts to like start doing correction, that's giving the tool like too much power to be able to like make changes.
Yeah.
But in that case, do you think we need to have like a standard for all agent ecosystem? Maybe like a guidebook. I don't know if that's what we call it, but just like a distributed.
Sorry, before we get into that, I feel like what Okpe said about guardrails is just so crucial and so important, right? Because in AI, there's this concept called like the lethal trifecta, right? Which is pretty much that any AI system should not be given these three things at the same time, which is access to private data, access to untrusted content, and access to external communication mechanisms, right? So if at any point an AI system has access to those three things, like you're in deep water, basically. So exactly, because for example, there's this like prompt injection. Let's say you have like your AI system, or let's say your coding assistant, your Claude code on your private computer, or your Moltbot on your private computer, whatever, right? And it has access to your private data.
Yeah, that's one.
But at the same time, has access to external communication, so it can communicate over the internet.
That's true.
And then it has access to untrusted data. Let's say someone just puts some random content. Could be, let's say, an image. It could be, let's say, some text on Reddit and stuff, right? And it downloads it reads that data. But then in the data, unknowing to you, there's like a prompt, like internally, like written, that pretty much says it should do something malicious. You would not be aware of that, right? But it could actually execute that prompt behind the scenes and then exfiltrate your data, for example, to another external server, because it has access to external communication, and you'll be none the wiser pretty much. So guardrails are just so super important, right?
So one thing I'll add, like about the observability angle, right, is we're also thinking about, so how can like observability and making sure like that there are no black boxes. I hate that term. That there are no black boxes in your like systems is the right thing, right? Is that I think regardless of whether you're running an agentic system or you're running like is humans, the same basic principles still apply. You still want to know if anything bad is going wrong, because agents can do bad things, but humans can also do bad things.
True.
Right? So if you do not have the observability to know when like things are happening in your system, that is not the agent's fault. It is your fault, because like it is your role to make sure that your systems are secure and reliable. So like that's what I think. That's another like good point.
Yeah, that makes sense. But talking about like the observability, do you think there needs to be like a set standard or sort of like a guide for all agent systems? I mean, Iyanu just spoke about the three rules that you need to like
trifecta.
the trifecta. You need to keep in mind. So do you think there needs to be a system? I don't know if it's sort of like
standard,
money. Sort of like
that makes sense.
Someone. I don't know if it needs to be an organization that every company needs to run whatever their agentic tool is, or even people. Like you need to run it through, and then they scan through it, and they're like, okay, you know what, this is fine. This actually meets the standard that we've put in place, because that could be one way to make sure that everybody is operating at the level that they're supposed to operate from an organization level, a company level, as well as personal level. So what do you think about that? Should we have observability standards?
Yes. So what I think is it's works best as an open standard, right? So let's give the example of MCP. MCP is a standard, and like that came about because different organizations realized that part of the one of the biggest problems with agents and LLMs is that like they hallucinate a lot. And like the solution to that problem is context. And you have to get context from different sources, right? So they came up with an open standard called MCP to like define how you communicate. And the good thing about developing an open standard like that is that it lets people stop thinking about the low level things of how they'll write the thing. Because like you already told them, if you want to do this is how you do it, right? So MCP just kind of as a standard helps people to build on that foundation and like starts adding more context, right? So I think if you can do something like that for like observability of what the agents are doing, that would really, really help, because it's not like one big corporation is controlling how you think about it. Is multiple companies coming together to agree, and then as they agree, the other companies will also come in and like work on the standard and like make it better. So I agree.
That makes sense. Definitely makes sense. If you any company out there decides to take Okwe's idea, please
Yeah.
give him credits.
Give me
I always
credits
say-
or send me money. Anyone.
Send him money,
Send him money.
please. Send him money. Moving on to the next piece of news. I feel like this is the most interesting thing that I have seen this month.
Okay.
I mean, we spoke about Alphabet in a couple of episodes back and how they are now like the second most valuable company in the world. But then one part of their products is one that I find very conflicting, very conflicting right now. So
Which
in
part
case you
is
don't
that?
know, Alphabet owns Waymo,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
like an automated driving system, whatever. They
Yeah.
Yeah.
are literally competing with Tesla and all of that.
Yeah.
So right now they've gotten like the license to start operating out of like San Francisco airport, which
Okay.
is cool, nice. As at November of 2025, they had like 2,500 Robotaxis in the US. But they're also under flames right now because one of their cars eats a child.
Oh.
What?
And I'm just like, what exactly is the way forward with this? Because it's like, obviously, again, we're trying to automate systems, make sure these systems are able to like function well. I love the idea of a self-driving car because
Same.
I can't drive. And I've had to move my theory test like 2 times now because I just can't make time to start
Yeah.
studying things. So if I had like a car that can drive itself, fantastic. But where exactly does the what I say, like the guardrail
Yeah.
come into play for issues like this that could happen where a system that's been automated and tested to work,
Yeah.
we still have like accidents in this case.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, Ian?
Can I say, for me, I feel like it starts from training, right? The systems, automated self-driving car systems, number one, needs to pass through, and I'm pretty sure they do pass through a
lot of tests, a lot of
testing
tests.
and a lot of
Extensive
training,
testing.
extensive testing
Yeah.
with extensive arrays of data and data sets which
Yeah.
they're tested against. So
Yeah.
that's very important. I feel like we can't get enough testing data,
Yeah.
like as much as
Yeah.
possible is really important. But then also governments need to keep ensuring that they regulate these companies appropriately, right? It's one thing for companies to do their own testing, which is great and everything, but then there also have to be external parties that actually verify
Yeah.
that these systems are being pushed out
Yeah.
meet these standards, right, that have been set, right? For example, there have to be safety standards like that say at any automated AI system, any automated self-driving car system needs to be at least X times more, can I say, less error prone than the basic human or typical human,
Sure.
right?
Fantastic.
They also need to cover different use cases, like let's say, these systems need to be able to work both in great lighting, in poor lighting,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Also very important. Also, a lot of these systems use different sensors, cameras, LiDAR, radar. They also need to be standards in place. Well,
Yeah.
some don't use LiDAR and radar, but we're not going to mention
even
names.
know
We're not going to mention names. But yeah, like there needs to be standards put in place, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, regulators, when these companies fall short, I feel like regulators need to hold them to account as well.
True.
Yeah.
That's-
But in this case, I mean, going back to what Okwe said, when the human factor comes into play, because Waymo is saying that the robo-taxi was going like 17 miles per hour, but if it were a human that was driving that same car, the human would have been going like 16 miles per hour. So
Okay.
it feels a bit comparative.
Yeah.
So it's like, the human is still going to do the same thing the robot is doing. So how do we sort of like balance that out?
So-
Because we're making a strong case for automated system,
Yeah.
but the human element still feels like it has much advantage.
Yeah, so that what I was going to say, like, is very similar to one of the things you said last. One of the the principles when you are evaluating a neural network or any machine learning system is the best thing you can do is evaluate how it performs relative to a human, because like that's the only metric you really have.
Sure.
So what I would say is, in this case, there will always be anomalies. Like no matter how much you train, no matter how much data you have,
Yeah.
we call them edge cases, right? So what I would suggest in this case, right, if I'm the CEO of Waymo, I'm not the CEO, right? Or like one defense I would give is, I'd say if we compare the probability of a human having this accident
Yeah.
to the probability of the self-driving car having the accident, if it's not too different, like if it's similar, like let's say a human would have also done the same thing,
Yeah.
then
Maybe.
That's as good as we can get, to be honest. Or we can aim to be a little better than humans,
Yeah.
right? Because other than that, like if you keep trying to get perfect, you will keep getting new edge cases. The
True.
world will keep changing. So
Okay.
yeah.
That is so true. Definitely true. And what is going on in the world of Amazon lately?
Layoffs, and more layoffs. Amazon laid off 16,000 workers, and in the
16,000.
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. And last week we
It wasn't last
in our last
episode.
episode,
Yeah,
rather, we
literally.
reported about
No.
Meta laying
Yes.
off a good portion of their Reality Labs division.
Yeah.
About 1,000 to 1,500 people in Meta were laid off. Now again,
Wow.
hearing about layoffs again. Yeah, we really, it's a big bummer, to be honest, that this is still happening at this time.
I
Scary.
definitely agree. Because this is like the second layoff they will be doing in 3 months,
Mhm.
and over 30K jobs are going to be lost by the time they finalize this 14K round. It makes absolutely no sense to me because, part of the excuse that Amazon is giving is the fact that they want to remove more of the old corporate structure and actually start automating processes. So they might not need as many people to be physically working in some roles that AI can't do.
Yes.
It's just so weird saying this now, given
So
what
this
we
leads
just
us
spoke
to
about.
our next question for Ope. With the proliferation of AI in our day-to-day and the way the tech space is panning out, are we cooked?
No.
I
Like
obviously-
we're not.
Short and simple.
Like short and simple.
Short
we're
and
not.
simple. No.
So like I don't think there's more to add, but I'll try to add some more things just to like make it feel like I'm not biased. Right? So in terms of like thinking about humans being replaced by AI, I think it's the age old, like this is not the first time we've had this type of conversations. It's kind of at the crux of it, it is a conversation about whether humans can be replaced by automation in general. And this is not the first time we're having like automation, right? So when computers came, right, it was like, oh, humans will be replaced by computers, but not really, because what you ultimately converge to is an assistant.
Yes.
Like it will help you be more efficient, right, in doing your jobs, but like it cannot totally replace you. In terms of like companies laying off people because they want to use AI, I'm not totally sold because people try to sell it as we don't need people anymore because the AI can do this. But ultimately, like you still need the people, right? But like they're just going to be more efficient because they have LLMs doing things
Support
for them.
Exactly what I say. Literally, you can't replace people. You cannot. The assistant can only support.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's like the quality of work cannot compare. At least from a product design point of view, I've tried a lot of tools that claim they can design for me. And at the end, I literally just be like, the amount of time this tool spent generating the design, I could have gone into Figma myself to do the design, because you still have to like tweak it or like create a very detailed prompt that gives you like a result that is actually functional. So in that case, it's like if tomorrow they come and they're like, oh, all product designers are cooked, I'm just going to fold my hands and be like, okay, fine, let me see the results of what the LLM is giving, because I don't trust it to deliver quality work. It can only support me to maybe make my process faster or give ideas or do research. But at the end of the day, I feel like these layoffs are not necessary. That's just the way I see it.
Just let me rant a little bit, just small. One thing I hate that LLMs are being used for is art. Anything related to art. Music, generating art, anything. I have a very, very strong opinion about that. And I think that art should be made by humans, not by robots. So I really do not like that LLMs are being used for generating art or like music or whatever.
No, it's so upsetting because that's Afro version of the Stromae song that is viral on social media now. It's literally AI generated, and it pisses me off so bad because the original song is so good as it is. Why did we need that? And Stromae is not getting any credit or any payment.
I mean, you should better lawyer up. Stromae lawyer up.
But sorry, who is he going to send the lawsuit?
I don't know, Spotify, whoever, find a lawyer.
Because he can't tell the AI agent to show up in court or something. It's terrible. Last but not the least, final piece of news. This is quite close to my heart because this company showed me Pepe when I was still using it majorly. I'm going to try as much as possible not to be emotional about this piece of news. But PayPal is returning to Nigeria. Good for PayPal. Their stocks has taken a dip over the last couple of months on the stocks market, and could this be their saving grace? Because why are they moving back into the African ecosystem now as a last resort? But they will be partnering with Pega.
Paga, yeah.
Pega. Yeah, they are the ones that are bringing PayPal back into Nigeria.
You don't seem happy.
I'm not happy about it. I'm happy about it. I'm not gonna lie. It was quite hard, like as a Nigerian, creating an account on PayPal and receiving payment, sending it back. There was just like so much rules and regulation. I mean, they would explain it like it's a low trust country, but still, even though the only other advantage I think you might agree with is there's been like a good rise of companies that have come out of Nigeria and out of Africa because PayPal has not been functional for a lot of people.
But that's
in
in
the
spite
country.
of PayPal, not because of PayPal.
No, despite like rising still over it
Over
all.
the ashes.
Yeah, no, your thoughts on this?
I mean, like you said, a lot of Nigerians have faced a lot of hardship in the hands of PayPal, and a lot of Nigerians also were not happy to hear the news that PayPal was coming back. And I think Paga got dragged a little bit on Twitter for this. Let's see how this plays out long term, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. Hopefully it actually works because I've seen complaints already based off of this thing. People getting their accounts restricted just from connecting PayPal to Paga, and I'm just like, this will be quite interesting. Again, not sentimental, not emotional. I have no further comments on this at all. Good luck to PayPal.
Good luck to everyone involved.
Good luck to everybody involved, literally.
Yeah, and with that, we've reached the end of this episode of Tech Tacto. Once again, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks to our special guest, Opeyemi, for coming. It was really lovely having you here, and we're sure that we're going to have you another time in the future, for sure. So again, if any of you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Just hit the subscribe button. For those listening on Spotify, follow us every week. We break down the hottest news in tech. We are Tech Tacto. We cover tech talk for
everyday people.
You can follow us on social media platforms at Tech Tacto Pod. And if you want to say hi to us, you can do that anytime by emailing us at hello@techtacto.live. And thank you very much for listening.
We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.